DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for talking about upsells with Casey and Brian B.
What's up, Casey?
How are you, Brian? How are things,
Good, man.
buddy?
Good.
Good.
Had my first wedding of 2018
Okay.
this weekend.
You have it this coming?
No, I just had it. This
Okay.
weekend out
How'd
in
it go?
Florida. Well, this time of year in Florida, it's typically not humid yet. That usually comes in March. But it was humid, man. It's so humid, and I was outside, and that dance floor was like a hockey rink, so slick. I'm surprised no one got injured. But the other thing that was amazing too was this was my first, all they wanted was 90s music, which was crazy. I mean, heavy pop. Like I'm talking, Summer Girls, LFO, The Middle, Jimmy Eat World, which are all great songs. But, back in the day when they came out, those weren't dance hits. Those were just sing-alongs.
Yeah,
so it's funny to see that happen.
Yeah, I met the boys from LFO when I was with Kiss FM in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
They were cool. They were young. They were
Yeah. Well, and I had another one where people were telling me, I've heard DJs say they've been using All Star by Smash Mouth as a dance track. And I was like, I just could never figure out a way to mix that in. I played it. It went off. I was like, what? I just couldn't believe it. So I got to say, that definitely is the is the trending thing. It's crazy to think that all that 90s music is coming back the way it is, but that's the bride.
The unusual part of me goes back to the arm wrestling contest that Randy Bartlett has with Peter Mary about whether Rock Lobster is a hit or a miss. And I personally can't ever see playing it anywhere ever for any reason. But
Did one of them played it?
I think that if I not going to script a story, I think Randy Bartlett went on a job with Peter Mary and Peter Mary played it. And Randy Bartlett looked at him like he was on crack, or they had a conversation about driving home one night about how he played it and it was awesome. And Randy Bartlett just, thought he had just dropped acid or something. It was something goofy. I don't even know.
Wow. How was your weekend?
It was good, actually. In fact, our good friend Jasmine, who we had on the show, she had her company bar mitzvah open house. She had 825 people, over 300 families come through. It was crazy sauce. I mean, her and her staff did a great job. I got to see some friends. Sean Big Daddy McKee is good friends with her, and so he flew in from New York, Connecticut.
Right.
I picked him up at the airport, and we had breakfast.
Wow.
Along with Russ Welsh from Madison, Wisconsin. He drove down. And then Ed McMurtry from Mr. Disc Jockey and Edwin Allen Productions up in Toronto. He drove down 10 hours through the night.
Wow.
And then Howard Wallach from A to Z in Chicago joined us for breakfast. And you know what? It was like, it's kind of reminiscent, or it's what's going to be happening in a couple of weeks in Vegas between Mobile Beat and Photo Booth Expos. You're going to have these incredible breakfast, lunch, and dinner conversations where people are just flowing with ideas and what about this and what about that, and then you're actually going to be upset when you got to get in to go see a seminar possibly, or I've closed Capitol Grill before at Wedding NBA. In fact, we closed, they were pretty much turning the lights on, but we are so heavy in conversation that night that it was one of those nights where you're like, oh man, I can't believe we got to leave. But literally we were the last table there. So
wow. And was that number like the amount of people she had? Is that typical, or is that? I mean, I don't know.
It's like she had the Super Bowl, and most of the other DJs here would be like the Canadian Football League. I mean, it just
that difference.
It's night and day difference.
Wow.
I would say most of the other DJ companies here may have 100, 150, maybe 200 on the high end. So for her to hit those kinds of numbers, she was on ABC Channel 7 out here.
I saw that.
Yeah. So, and she pretty much owned that interview because they didn't have a reporter with her. They put an earpiece in. So she just kept talking about all of her cool stuff. So it had a bit of an infomercial feel, but she got out all the plugs that she wanted to, and also showed some really cool stuff that's going on in the special event industry in the way of entertainment. So
solid.
It was still true to form. But yeah, she had consultants there. She had 6 different caterers there. Maybe 2 different dessert people or 3 different dessert people. And she just crushed it. I mean,
that's amazing.
She really crushed it. She did a great job. So, and it kind of ties into some of the stuff we're talking about marketing, that she invited a lot of her clients that were booked already to show them her 20-person foosball table, her LED ping pong table, her urban hoops game.
Yeah.
She's got a virtual reality system. She had her toilet paper launchers and her sparklers, and she had her confetti cannons and live entertainers. At Loft, she set it up in the ceiling. If you ever look at the pictures on her Facebook page for Loft 21 events, she had rigging points put in with trapdoors, so aerialists were coming down over the dance floor and were performing and stuff. So
wow.
Yeah, she really decked the place out. So it's
awesome.
Pretty fantastic. Yeah. It's a DJ dream to work at, because you walk in with your top case, you plug in. She's got a full Martin Audio sound system. All the lights are in the ceiling. Everything's good to go. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool indeed.
So you're going to be checking Facebook tonight, and I'm going to be checking some of the YouTube stuff. We got Jody, of course, loyal listener, good friend. DJ Cox as well, and John Sawyer is up on YouTube with us tonight.
And let's see, on Facebook so far we've got Chris Saint, Michael Urban, William Buttrey. Oh, that's you, Brian Buonassissi, saying hello to everybody. And my computer is really slow tonight. Who else is up there? Who else has said hello? I thought I saw Big Daddy in the house. Jason Clock is here. Hey, Jason. We're going to get to see Jason. He's presenting at Mobile Beat this year.
Yep. That's what I hear.
So, and then let's see. Sean didn't say hello. He just gave us a nice heart, which is great. So, yeah. So I'll be on Facebook. So I'd love to chat with you. And as you guys know, Facebook is all about engagement. So we want you to, if you like what we're talking about, like us, comment on us. If you don't like us, like WWE wrestlers, go ahead and give us a thumbs down if you can, or, say Brian's terrible, and I'll go ahead and I'll thumb it up. So I'll like it. So that's it. So that's where we're at. So I cannot see what I'm doing here today. All right. So Donnie Lewis is in the house too. All right. So I'm done saying hello to people for a little while. Excuse me. So we are like 10 days away from Mobile Beat, and we're going to see a show floor and Photo Booth Expo. We're going to see a show floor filled with new toys that manufacturers want all of us to buy.
Right.
And so this seminar was, or this day today, we talked about originally marketing your upsells, and then it kind of became marketing and upsells.
I think it was a mistake on my end. I must have missed.
That's okay. That's why they sell spell check as an upsell,
right?
Just not in Photoshop. So we're going to talk about marketing your upsells, and so as a result of that, we all know plenty of DJs that if you go to DJ Classifieds, people are selling stuff on DJ Classifieds or on your local Craigslist for one of two reasons. One, they bought something they thought everybody would want, but they didn't have the clientele for it, or they didn't market it correctly. Or number two, they've gotten out of the business where they bought the newest, latest, greatest widget version of it. So either way, though, the bottom line is you can't choose to own something and it'll beat a path to your door. Going back to Jasmine for a minute, and she has the right clientele. I remember when she came back from the IAPA show, and she told me she bought a $5,000, or she bought a $12,000 or $13,000 5-person Pac-Man game, the same one you see at Dave and Buster's and some of your high-end stuff. I thought she was crazy. She booked it out and was able to have it paid off within like a month, because she immediately let every one of her book customers know, look at the latest, greatest thing that we have here. And it's normally XX dollars. But since you're already booked and your party's coming up, and we'd love to get it out for everyone to see it, and we're going to offer you a great deal of it for X dollars instead of XX dollars. So I don't know. It worked for her. I know that hotels do it all the time. Do you find yourself doing the same thing as we get closer to the date?
Yeah. Let me go back a second though, and because this confused me actually when we were coming up with this topic, because we kind of just did it over Messenger, so we weren't really talking on the phone. But there is a difference between upselling and cross-selling, and they get confused all the time. So let's kind of define that first. So upselling is a better product. So in other words, let's say you have a computer you're going to buy, and the computer that you're looking at is version, let's talk about a car, I guess it might be easier. So you see the 13.2 or whatever model. Well, the 13.4 is also a car, but just a better model.
Okay.
Cross-selling is kind of what we have typically said as an upsell in the DJ community, but cross-selling is where you add on similar products that would help, the current product that you're buying. So when we think about upselling as far as DJ services go, I was really thinking this before we came on the air, like what is sellable in a DJ company, because it's DJ service. So really the only upsell difference is if you are a multi-op and you have multiple DJs. To me, the only upsell would be the years of experience that person has, because the things in the package, such as the product or whatever, those are all cross sells. So
okay, I see it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
you're splitting hairs. I know that George Lopez is one that likes to point out that you don't wait. I've got to remember this. It has to do with marketing. He said you pass out your marketing materials. When he said they're not marketing materials, they're actually promotional materials.
Yeah.
And so,
But if you're selling like between DJs, I guess I was thinking first, if we're going to talk about upselling as one category and cross-selling as another,
fine.
Upselling
would be upselling.
Okay, so upselling. Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah. So why would you upsell? One reason would be because it's cheaper than acquiring new customers, right? If you sold a DJ package that was, or a talent that was more expensive than the other, chances are you're not having to sell two of the lower product. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
So that'd be one. So years of experience, the amount of talent that one DJ has over another, those are really the only differences I could come up with. So how to market that? would be, obviously clips of that person or reviews showing the difference in quality there, or sense of urgency, right? I mean, obviously there's only so many of whatever product you have.
Right.
So a way to market that would be, creating scarcity in a sense, right? By saying, hey, there's only X amount of availability of that one particular person or that one product.
I think, though, the one thing that a lot of people seem to forget is this, and I think that was more prevalent in the 90s and the 2000s, because I really believe that in the earlier days of DJ, you had good DJs with good gear, and then you had DJs like half a system. Okay. And I mean, you've been doing this a while, so there were a lot of problems with various disc jockey dual CD players back in the day, so you always had to have backup.
Right.
And the equipment wasn't nearly as efficient and roadworthy as it is today. So the companies that were solid always had backup. They also had an organized music library that every single one of them was the same. Every DJ had the promo only series, and they had 7 subscriptions or whatever.
Right.
And then there were the companies that you would hear about where the bride's sister would be coming to interview you and said, yeah, my sister's wedding, the DJ didn't even have their first dance, and he was scrambling to go out and buy it the day before or the day of or whatever it was, and couldn't find it because back in those days you had to possibly special order it or whatever it was. And so, so that was it. But, today I think there's a lot more in the middle. And my point being is, I think the law of supply and demand back then was a lot easier to define. Whereas if you have a God-given voice where you just have the Michael Buffer voice or the movie phone voice,
right?
Or if you can dance like Michael Jackson, or mix like Tiesto or whatever it is, but you have to be very, very specific. I think the most recognizable person, I think Jason Jani is probably a law of supply and demand, but even him, there are other good DJs in New Jersey with cool gear that may not mix exactly like him, but it reminds me of the Camaro Firebird. If somebody said, well, this is the last red Firebird, yeah, but there's a Camaro dealership across the street and the cars are pretty close in design.
Right.
And so I think really it's gotten to a little bit of the middle. So I think you can play that card if you know that DJ did a friend's wedding, did a sister's wedding,
right,
did something like that. But I think you have to be careful not to overplay that hand. You
right.
agree?
I agree 100%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. So let's talk about cross-selling then, which is what most people equate to upsells in our business. What is the best cross-selling line ever that you can think of?
Cross-selling line?
Using for upsells. I know you'll know it. Who has the most famous upselling line? Or if you want to, I guess we're calling it cross-selling. So what's the best cross-selling line you ever heard?
You seem to have one predetermined.
No, I was thinking about it, like upgrades and things like that. To me, the one that comes to mind is McDonald's, right? Do you want fries with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's like one of the classic lines that you hear them always say, right?
What's interesting about McDonald's that a lot of people forget, because I think they're just so ingrained in it. Even though McDonald's is McDonald's, and you can't say a lot about the quality, the thing about it is they've always been and always will be an industry leader. They were always the first to supersize things. They were the first to package things. They were the first to do all kinds of little things. The research and development that they do for most products are so far and above. Now, how the McRib happened, I have no idea.
Right.
The only thing more disgusting than the McRib, in my opinion, is the it should be out now, the toothpaste shake. What is it? The Shamrock Shake. It's toothpaste. It's disgusting. I mean, I'm being facetious. To me, I've tried it like one time. I think it tastes like toothpaste.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, I just think it's one of those things where, you have to have, I think one of the first rules of upselling, or I'm sorry, cross-selling, I got to make sure I get it right. Cross-selling is making sure that the products that you are passing on are familiar and that they make sense. In other words, they got to fit with what you're what your base package is. You don't just put random stuff that that you have to spend a lot of time explaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think probably most DJs would all probably agree that the number one cross sell, upsell, add-on sell, whatever you want to call it, is going to be a ceremony system, because the amount of people that have stepped away from organized religion is ginormous.
Totally.
And it's become acceptable to have friends marrying friends, which, in the 90s, I viewed it as like, I'm not an overly religious person, but I think that there's a time and place for everything. And I remember when a DJ in the industry was getting married by Randy Bartlett. And I just thought, and part of it was this he's a goofball and he's a fun guy. But I was like, this marriage is never going to last. I can't believe that, like, they're not taking it seriously enough to have clergy. And if anybody knows, Randy Bartlett's personal religious choice is that he's an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept thinking, like, they have an atheist marrying them. I give this wedding like 3 weeks, or this marriage like 3 weeks. They are happily married with 700 children. Couldn't be happier. I happened to see them in Boston this past summer. You actually saw one of them as well, and God bless. But there's no question that people have stepped away from the church wedding, the synagogue wedding. I'd probably say at least 50 to maybe 60% are now done on property. And so as a result of that, it gives us a pretty solid upsell.
And I think with that, it solves a problem, right? It's solving an issue so I think it's a really key point that you just brought up, is that, a ceremony sound kit is an upsell, a cross sell, but you're also solving a problem. Right. So if it helps, their event, if it doesn't help their event, don't offer it, but if it does and it can help it, I think that's when you kind of add in those cross sells there.
Sure. No. And I think it's like anything else in sales. You sell what people want, you sell what they need, and you take a couple of chances that you're going to introduce something new into the market. I think you're doing it too. I added the giant Jenga games for people who've got has like a beer garden or a patio attached to the room they're having it in. I added bags, which is also known as cornhole, throughout the country, with a bride's veil on one side and a groom's bow tie on the other, and just keeping it very themed and and that. So not huge money, but again, if it solves a problem and it gives the dancers something to do or the non-dancers do something while they're out there,
right?
So be it.
Well, and another cross seller, I was trying to think of other companies that do this really well. Amazon is probably one of the best cross sellers there are, because as soon as you buy a product, you immediately get the thing that says, customers who bought this also bought this.
Oh yeah,
right.
Sure.
So they kind of pair it together with other things. So, I think there's a lesson to be learned there as well as, it has to make sense and make it something that's familiar to what's the current product that you already have out there.
But like you had said, I think it's also about solving a problem. And I don't know if I talked about it at ADJ last month or if I talked about it on the show, but I used to work in a paint store, and most of the old timers just sold a gallon of paint and that was it. And I went to the owner looking for a raise, and I wasn't as old as the old timers. So he said, well, I'll give you a commission on all the sundry items. And the sundry items were anything not paint. Okay. So when Joe, the homeowner, walked through my door, all of the old timers would sell him a gallon of paint, and that would be it. Okay. Whereas I turned around and talked to them about the project. What are you doing? Well, my daughter's too old for nursery colors, so we're going to give her a little girl bedroom. Okay. Do you have spackle ready to spackle all the holes? No. Well, let me sell you a little one of those. Do you have a putty knife for it? No. Well, let me sell you one of those too. I'll just get you a little plastic one. It'll be inexpensive, but it'll get the job done.
Right.
Do you have sandpaper? You don't need a heavy grit. You don't need a big electric sander. You just need to sand certain things down. No, I'm glad you're helping me. Okay, cool. Do you have a new roller? Because if you get home and you find out that the roller you have has gunked paint in it because you didn't clean it well enough, you're only going to be coming back here and then you're going to be upset.
Right.
Okay? And so By the time I was done, I took the $25 gallon of paint and he was spending $65 with me, and nobody was ever mad. They were more upset when I would find the old timers hadn't walked them through everything. And, they're like, shit, I forgot spackle. Nobody told me I needed spackle. And, and that was that. Plus I was making a ton of money at the time. So
Right.
that's how I chose to do it. So that's all.
So DJ Kaz is asking me, what do you charge KC for the big Jenga game?
I'm only charging $75 because you know what? I don't pay my staff anything extra. We actually made them out of repurposed 2x4s that we had here. One of my guys in the back that works with our floral division in the building side of it, he sanded down the 2x4s that we had. We cut them to fit. They go up, I think, 4 feet. And then we put them in one of those big black and yellow totes that you can buy at every Costco or Sam's Club now. It all fits in there. So my DJ's just got one little tote to throw on there. He or she has to stack it on a cocktail table out in that area, and that's it. End of the night, they just turn around, pick up all the pieces, and that's it. End of story. So
right.
Again, if I do that and I sell bags, let's say it's $200 total, that's paid for my DJ assistant for the night.
Yeah.
So these little things add up. And again, if it's helping people, then so be it.
Along those same lines, I think another key thing to keep in mind is, at least for me, with our upsells, we always discount them rather than what the a la carte price would be.
Sure.
Part of what we want to do is put more of our staff on the events that we already are doing rather than sending them out to go do, another event far away. We'd rather as much synergy on that one event as possible be there.
Yeah,
so absolutely. I think that's another key too. I mean, and on products that make sense. So for instance, for us, Ceremony Sound, I'm not hiring another tech. I'm using the DJ who's already there to right. do that. So I don't necessarily have to build that into my cost. So I'll give a break on that rather than having to send another guy out to go do Ceremony Sound by itself at another location.
Sure.
But one where I won't will be our officiant service. I don't have enough margin in my officiating service to be able to discount it at all because it's primarily all goes towards, talent. So for me, that if they add that on, there's certain add-ons that I can't discount, but where I can, I try to make that happen to make it more appealing because there's margin there.
Now, are you ordained?
I am. I don't do it very much anymore, but I every now and then I'll bust it out.
Yeah, it was something that just never appealed to me. The whole thing is just not me. So
yeah.
But again, some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla. What are you gonna do?
Right. Another thought I had on the cross sells, I was thinking of another company that does it pretty well and how they do it. I don't know if it's manipulative or not. I don't know. I'd be interested in your take, but I was thinking about Dropbox and how they actually, I sell myself on the upgrade almost. They force me to because they put storage limits on how much space I have on my Dropbox.
Okay.
So the next level is only to upgrade to the next level. So I was wondering, that could be a strategy. I don't know if it's a great strategy because you get pissed off that you have to pay it, but you do because you have to do it. So I mean,
go from free to paying. Okay.
Or even then, I mean, I've paid where I'm paying for I think 2 terabyte because I ran out of space at the 1 terabyte level.
That just means you have too much crap in there.
Probably.
That's all.
But I mean,
delete all of the weird porn and you'll have plenty of room.
Yeah. So, I mean, but it is a strategy. I mean, people do. I mean, obviously they've done it successfully and made that happen. I was trying to think of that in the DJ world, where almost it's selling itself, where you don't even have to push it.
I think that's the way it is for ceremonies. Because again, in the ceremony world, I'm charging $250 per musician.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's my rule of thumb for trios, quartets, duos, what have you. And that doesn't include a PA system. So the reality is that they need somebody. So I'm charging $300 typically for a ceremony system, which is a lavalier, a mixer, a music source, and a handheld on a microphone stand. And I'll typically do what I call the necessary sound. So if I've got a big open area, I'll put up 2 speakers. If I'm in an adjacent room that's 10 by 10 or something crazy small. Mostly I'm using one speaker because I don't want to be seen. I don't want it to be too loud. It's just not necessary.
Right.
So I always use the term necessary sound as opposed to the number of speakers. And
Right.
then if they're buying 2 musicians from me, I'll wind up throwing $100 off because I'm still leaving with more money. By the time I wholesale the musicians, I'm still overall leaving with more cash. And the client feels that I'm working with them. And so it works well.
Got it.
So,
well, another thought I had with the cross-selling too is, I think it's more a tip than a marketing strategy, but just making sure you don't overdo it. I know for me, when people just start going on and on because you want to sell everything in your inventory and get it out of there, it's more of a turn off than a turn on as far as me wanting to. I'm like, how many more of these is he going to try to pitch me? So I think it's, again, goes back to just making sense for the event. And I think another way you could say that is you want to pitch more like the idea and not necessarily the upgrade. Like pitch the idea behind the upgrade rather than just.
No, but this is where I'm going to agree to disagree. And the reason for it is this. When they're shopping venues and they've met with caterers, those caterers have emailed them 15 different types of menus, along with their late night menu, along with their sweet table menu, or some people call it via. What's it called up by you? Viennese, via, I don't know. It's a New Jersey term. They sell 3 different levels of open bar, depending on, how big of a liquor aficionado you are. And so I think that truthfully, people are just used to having a lot of choices given to them.
Right.
I mean, my God, walk into a bridal salon. There's like 700 dresses there for you to choose from.
Right.
And your body type, and whether you want a mermaid style or whether you want a classic style or, whatever it is. So I think brides are used to getting a lot of choices. And truthfully, I think if you don't offer a lot, it says that you're kind of a basic, to a small degree, maybe even sometimes boring DJ. So,
yeah, but I guess I think we'll agree to disagree. I mean, look at In-N-Out, right?
Yeah.
Look at their menu. They do burgers. That's all they do. They don't add, hot dogs on their menu. They're not adding tacos. No. They do one thing and they do it really well.
No, they don't. I hate it. Okay, we're gonna watch the thumbs down go crazy on this. Right. I am a big fat man, and I have tried In-N-Out Burger repeatedly. The way that I think drug addicts try different drugs, and I just am so underwhelmed.
Okay. Well, there's definitely shops in Chicago that only do one thing. In New York here, it's Shake Shack, right? We've
got Shake Shack.
Do you have that? Okay, so there's another one. They're not selling tacos either. They're doing what they do. Sure. So I think within that, especially now, attention spans are so short, especially with the millennial crowd, that it's got to make sense. I don't want to see you got to have options, obviously, but it's got to make sense. I don't want to see stuff that just has no application to what I'm doing just because you have it in your inventory, right?
But again, I'm not suggesting that I supply board games to people either.
Right.
I guess I could.
Right.
And there are certain things that I think are counterproductive, like I don't offer karaoke. But the reality is that I think there's lots of things that are. I think there's lots of cool stuff. I think uplighting, although now it's become more the norm, I think it's cool. I think that, gobos or monogram projection, depending on what it is cool.
Right.
That comes down to graphic design. I think vinyl dance floor reps are cool.
Right.
Whether you have the ability to do it in-house or whether you're subcontracting it or just referring it. And
sure.
Excuse me. And doing that. But the reality is that I think that there's a reason to offer all of this stuff. And I think it just comes down to, I think right now there's the bell curve is definitely in the middle. And so I think that the way you're going to be able to pay your DJs well and compete is by adding stuff on. So I think if you don't, you're leaving money on the table. And, look at McDonald's. McDonald's was the king, always has been the king. Okay. And then they decided one day that they had the infrastructure to start offering breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And breakfast on upsells, all of a sudden, it totally changed. And something
Right.
like 2/3, or at one point in time, 2/3 of all of the breakfasts served in this country were McDonald's.
Hmm.
And then again, the idea of competing. I mean, if you think of like the best coffee in the world now, most people are thinking Starbucks, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Well,
I guess.
okay, the most popular.
Yeah.
But for those that are somewhat coffee snobs, now McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts are really well-loved coffees.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, again, I don't even know what, it had to be 1970 something that they started adding coffee and breakfast.
Right.
So, I mean, I remember growing up as a kid and they didn't have it. And I remember what a big deal it was for God knows what reason that we went to. Maybe, I don't know why. I was a dorky kid, I guess. I don't know why I was so excited about McDonald's for breakfast. But I was, and they've obviously done very, very well with it.
Right.
But I agree with you. You have to have the right stuff. I mean,
Right.
if McDonald's started offering tacos, it would be weird. And I think that there are strange brands like A&W Root Beer. They have weird stuff. They have hot dogs, they have tacos, they have strange stuff depending on where you go, and they don't do it well.
What is Super Dogs?
Oh, Super Dog.
Jody's saying that I should know about this. Is this a Chicago thing?
Super Dog is the greatest hot dog in the entire country. Okay.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah. I'll pick you up at the airport. We're going right to Super Dog.
Better than Nathan's?
Oh God, blows it away. And it's, if you ever watch, like, whenever they do like the hot dog things across the country,
yeah,
Super Dog's always the Chicago people. That's the Chicago classic. Like,
right.
Like if you go to Atlanta, it's the I can't even think of the name of the place. It's the like a full block size building. I can't think of the name of it. Nathan's is big on the East Coast.
Northeast, yeah.
But Super Dog is a pretty amazing little dog.
Okay.
Absolutely, positively.
Well, another thought I had on the cross-selling too, as a tip, I guess, is one of the things we do is we offer certain upgrades to what we call our VIP clients. So people who've already booked us that we wouldn't just throw out there initially, almost as a not to sell something that or to confuse a clientele, but more or less to offer a benefit to those that book us. So as an example, Snapchat filters for us is something that was big for us last year. And that was something we only offered. We didn't just do this. It wasn't on the a la carte menu. It wasn't something that we even put on as an upgrade that they could purchase right then and there. We would wait until after they booked with us and we'd mention, hey, listen, for those that have booked this particular package, we're offering, a Snapchat filter as an example. So it gave kind of a VIP treatment to those that bought at a certain level. Have you ever done any experiment with doing something like that, where certain things are only available to somebody who has a certain dollar amount or has purchased a certain dollar amount to even add more value?
I'll be honest. Like, if they've got a credit card that clears, I'm going to sell them
whatever
everything that I offer. And here's the thing. Like, I tell clients all the time, I'll sell you what you want and I will sell you what you need. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is where I have a difference of opinion with some DJs. Some DJs think that I under uplight a room. Like my friend Bobby Carpenter out in Rhode Island, he thinks that you need like 45 uplights in a room to uplight it. And that's his choice. And I think that all comes down to decor. And if you've seen his pictures, the walls are glowing. They're beautiful. To me, I just think it's it's overkill. But, I mean, there are some people too that also say you don't need to beat mix or hot mix in order to have a successful dance floor. And they're right as well. So it just depends on your vision and how you kind of see things. But I tell clients all the time, I will happily take as much money as you're willing to give me.
Right.
I want it to be your decision. So I'm going to show you all the cool things, just like at a car dealership, where I'm going to show you all the neat stuff. However, the reality is I want you to buy what you think is cool and kind of go from there. And the truth is, I'd say probably 7 out of 10 times they spend more on add-on sales than they do on my initial DJ package.
Wow.
So, and it's just because, I mean, I remember when in probably up until 2007 or 8, I had a full-time guy that I shouldn't say full-time, but I had a regular guy that came in like 3 days a week. All he did was baby picture montages, scan, produce with the wiping patterns, because we had screens and projectors going out probably 5 or 6 a weekend.
Wow.
And at $3 a picture plus $300 for the screen and projector.
$3 a picture?
Well, there's a lot of work.
Wow. So, I cannot believe you're getting that. That's amazing.
75 pictures is our recommendation. So it comes out to like $225.
Sure.
And
that's with them scanning it.
That's we scanned them.
Okay, got it.
That was like the I'd say like 2009, 2010 was where the shift really came, where
digital photos.
Yeah, everything was more or less digital, and people had been already scanning their own pictures
right
with a home scanner because they wanted to put them on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's probably about the time that the TBT Throwback Thursday came popular, and kind of go from there. So
Jody's asking me, how soon do you offer the upgrades after they book? And question is, Snapchat still working? I will say yes to Snapchat is still working, believe it or not. I had 2 brides that I met with for planning last week, and both of them said, can you do the Snapchat filter? So it's still being asked.
Did they talk to Kylie Jenner first?
Yeah, I guess not. And then as far as when I offer the upgrades, we put that in like our rotation of emails that goes out from we have 12 that we schedule, assuming they book 12 months out. And that's one of the 12. So we do that, I think, in like month 2 or 3. It's like the second or third one that we send out that says, hey, here's access to our VIP site. So, I mean, it works for us there.
And see, I'm like a car. I try to sell all the features up front. And I tell people, though, that if you're not sure what you want, just reserve the DJ package.
Right.
You can revisit it later. I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, because our deposit's 25%, which isn't a lot, but
no,
when you get up to $3,000-$4,000, all of a sudden you're asking for a decent chunk of money. So, and not all of I'm going to clarify. I'm not saying I'm a $3,000 or $4,000 DJ, but the reality is, by the time you add a lot of the stuff on, you can definitely add it up. So, so that's that. But so when the client requests information, they receive like I think it's an 8-page PDF from us, and it has all of our bells and whistles on it, and then they can decide what they want or what they don't want, and it kind of goes from there.
Agreed.
So, hey, Rich just helped me out. It's Varsity Hot Dogs in Atlanta. So there we go. Mystery solved. I'll be able to sleep at night. Thank you, Rich.
Well, another thought I had too was automating some of this upsell stuff as well. One of the things that we'll do is we'll look at the date, and if we have, let's say, our photo booth, which we have as an upsell for us, we do what we call a last minute photo booth, which we send out the month prior. And that email basically says something along the lines of, hey, we'd rather you and your guests be using this photo booth than it just be sitting in our warehouse. So we are slashing the price from what a la carte is to like 50% or something crazy like that.
A lot of hotels will do that.
Absolutely.
Casinos. And they're just burning inventory.
Totally. Because Marcus Lemonis is, with The Prophet. One of his episodes. I heard of him. Yeah. One of his episodes, he was talking about how, if it's just sitting, and you might as well be burning cash if it's just taking up room in your warehouse. So we want all that stuff out of there. So we look at that constantly and are trying to push those things that we have regularly that sell. If it's just sitting there, we want to send it out. So we'll use that. And that's been a huge win for us. Every time we send that email out, we get at least 2 or 3 people who book it every month.
I have to say, I don't do that, but let me ask you a question, because I get the feeling, do you have like a menu of services when a client first meets with you?
We do. Mm-hmm.
So you do show the whole shooting gallery.
We do.
Okay.
Except for those couple things that are in the VIP category. So we don't show some of that. So like the
Got it.
Snapchat filters one.
Sure.
We have something called a signature first dance. That's another. So we got a couple of things like that in there.
Your first dance.
So signature first dance is where we have the bride and groom, or the two grooms or two brides, or however you want to do it.
The wedding couple.
The wedding couple.
Yeah.
Don't want to leave anybody out. We will have them record on a memo on their phone the story separately of either how they first met or how they got engaged. And then I'll layer it over their first dance in instrumental spots. So it's not over the whole song. It's just in spots. And it's huge for us. I mean, we get people crying or laughing out loud because it's so moving either way, you know?
So what do you charge for that?
$450.
Okay. I was going to say I'm $300. And I thought like it's people like $300. And I go, yeah, I do the same thing with, I add in father-daughter dance.
Yeah.
And mother-son song too.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, let's face it, a poignant moment at a wedding if a bride is close with her father, and especially if he's helped pay for her dream wedding, if she thanks him, it would be a really touching moment, but she'd have a face full of mascara.
Right.
So if she does it in my office, and I have to give her some tissue in that, and we record it here in the USB mic, it's a no-brainer. So,
yeah. Oh, totally.
And then one of my guys who's far more proficient in this stuff than I am tosses it together. I pay him like $50 and I don't have to worry about anything.
Right. So. And it makes like somebody who's using a song like Perfect by Ed Sheeran, right? That's the song of the year so far. They can still use that song, but now it's customized to them because it's got their story over it, you know, assuming their stories match, of course, which is always interesting. Sometimes you get it. You're just like,
So let's see. David Wilson's got a couple of questions. He said, how do you advertise on a web page? Of course, somebody just commented. So now it bumped down. And it was John Young who commented. John, can't you just listen to the conversation? So David first asks, I should say, do you recommend a show price on your website or basic price? I don't. I don't even give ranges, to be honest with you. And the reason for it is I have Alan Berg's famed big ass button. Okay. That's a Alan Berg, I believe, trademarked, copywritten, he will cut your nuts off button term. And essentially what he says is that on every page that a client's looking for, there should be a request, you know, pricing or contact information, and you should be able to immediately find that. And I don't know about you, I hate having to scroll through websites to look for stuff, especially the larger the company, the more frustrating it is when you're trying to just find a customer service number because you're trying to call about a technical issue or whatever it is, and they want to only contact you via email or a support ticket or whatever. I can't stand that at all. So I was actually looking for a manufacturer today, trying to get into the marketing department. Finally found the phone number after looking for 10 minutes for the number. Got it, pressed 4 for it. Hi, this is Jane Doe from Sales, Marketing and Public Relations. Please leave your name and number after the tone. I'll get back to you. The voicemail box is full. Goodbye. And hung up. And I kept thinking, that's great for public relations and marketing.
Right.
Good job. So, David, I don't recommend it, but what I would recommend is that when you hit that big ass button, that it takes you to a page that immediately gives the client as much information as you're willing to give them without giving them everything. Okay. And so if you want to give ranges, that's fine. But for me, I'll use it as the, I want to dance, you know, with the client a little bit before I lose them or before I gain them. Okay. And so you come to my website, there's some basic information about how we handle weddings and what we do and how fantastic we think we are. And then they can request pricing information, which is their next logical step. And then once they give us the basic information, we'll email them a PDF immediately. And then from there, we've got a series of funnel-orientated emails that follow up. And then our salespeople have to follow up as well. And that's where we go. So,
right.
So, David, I'm glad he just thanked us. I'm glad that we were able to, and show your wife as well. Although laugh out loud, she disagrees. Well, I think we all know that women have been wrong for years and years and years. And I say that because Jody's our only female listener. No, I'm just kidding. But no, again, here's the thing. We all sell the way that we buy. And I think that that's sometimes something we have to take away. I'm a 48-year-old man. So what I think is cool is completely different than what a 27-year-old bride thinks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm cognizant of that all the time. I don't care what another DJ thinks about my website or my pricing or my packaging. And that's one of the things I can't stand when you see all these group pages and they're like, I just spent $4 on a new logo. What do all of you DJs think? And they post it up there and nobody likes it. Everybody likes it. You get nothing. And all I keep thinking is, if you're going to be a DJ supply store, this is great. If you're going to be a DJ magazine, this is great. Mm-hmm. Why don't you start talking to brides or just women in general? Put it on your own Facebook page and ask your friends and family, and then pay attention to the age demographic and the clientele that you're looking for.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So what's going on YouTube? What do they have to say?
I think we're kind of on the same lines. Everyone's somebody asked, I have a question. Is it wise and smart to upsell services, for example, like photography or video? And she's saying, I clarified that and said, are you asking if it's in-house? And she says, yes. And I say, well, then yes, if it's part of your offerings, absolutely. Again, if it makes sense. If they already have a photographer, I'm not going to try to sell them on mine, because they already have it. So it doesn't solving a problem.
Let me put the asterisk on that. There is as much work after the wedding with photography and video in the way of editing and post-production,
right,
as there is the day of the wedding. So going into it, you need to know that you now have a new set of headaches, which is, that night of, you did a great job. Your DJ did a great job. Everything was awesome. You have their playlist. So if anybody ever says you didn't play their song, you can pull it up and have it time coded and whatever else.
Right.
Photography and video are very subjective to what
totally.
Like. And so I've had some clients that they just don't like the way they look. Okay. Mm-hmm. Part of it is their body type. Part of it is, they've got crow's feet around their eyes because they might be a second bride and they don't look like the 20-something-year-old. And we can Photoshop, we can do whatever, but we can't read people's minds. So we don't know. So I own a photography studio that's 99 years old. And when I bought the company, I inherited a lot of staff that really know what they're doing and have taught me as much as I've been able to teach them about sales and marketing and such. And the reality is that, again, the challenge is that things are very, very subjective in that world. And so be prepared for clients that they don't like the way that they look on film. I mean,
right,
just the way that it is. So that's a tough thing. And then the other thing is people all think that a one camera video person is going to give you the same type of production that you see on television every day.
Right.
And that's just not realistic either. So,
right.
So that's the thing. Just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should. So
I totally agree.
Yeah.
We, with the videography, one of the things we noticed was that there was a need for, because we deal with destination weddings primarily in our Florida market. So a lot of people couldn't invite everybody, or people couldn't afford it. So we found a niche for live streaming video through whatever the free service was. Periscope for a while. And we would we didn't charge much, but enough for our guy to just hold the camera and basically have it live streamed through. But we had to make sure we told them, we showed them an example of exactly how it was going to look. So there wasn't like, well, how come you didn't change between 3 different camera views? And, why isn't this edited? No. This is exactly what you should expect if you're looking for this. This is bare bones. Sure. And I think that's important, because if you don't, and, it falls short, which again is subjective in a lot of cases, you just want to kind of minimize the possibility of that stuff happening.
Right. So we've got like 6 minutes left. So let's quickly go through, what do you cross-sell, add-on sell, upsell, depending on who you're talking to. And if you're Canadian, it would be Upsell A.
Sure. Definitely lighting is a big for us. And one other way that you can kind of do that we do, and actually I think I got this from Jason Clock or Chris Romero, so I got to give them props and they got it from somebody, I'm sure. But anyway, building and lighting credits to our packages. So in other words, one of our packages might have a $500 lighting credit, and they can pick what lighting is best for them instead of it being like one size fits all. If they need up lighting, if the room already has it, that venue has it, they don't need it. So why put that in a package? It gives them the capability to be able to decide what type of lighting, and we can recommend obviously as well what fits for them. Sure. So lighting's big for us. Obviously, like you hit it on the head with ceremony sounds, probably our number one. Right. Photo booth would be probably number 3. Okay. I think those would be the 3 biggies.
Okay. Very good. We're right there too. We call it custom audio editing, which is what you call your VIP dance. We do have the Chauvet Nimbus, and I've been doing that since I had a Lemaitre P Super before Chauvet even made it. And so the dry ice first dance. We own a bunch of the sparkler units now as well. And we continue to do that until the fire marshals start to tell us that we can't.
Sure.
We shoot confetti streamers. So we've got confetti cannons, but we shoot streamers, which for our world, it's okay because the venues spend more time picking up those little red stirring sticks than they do any of our confetti stuff. Video montages we still offer, and we'll still do them, and we do them probably once a month.
Right.
And then we sell projectors and screens as well. So if you want to make your own and plug in your laptop to us, we're happy to help you with that. We'll bring out the necessary cables and stuff to wire that up.
Are you seeing less of that? Because we are.
Oh yeah, far less. And a lot of venues now have their own screen that comes right out of the ceiling. So
right. I mean, if we do it, it's like it's running in the back of the room, and it's just going. It's like it's not a showpiece anymore, where it used to be like in the middle of dinner. Like that's totally gone.
But you know what's interesting, and I can say this from having produced for even my own 40th birthday party. I just don't think a lot of people think about it from a producer point of view.
Oh, absolutely.
And so we all know, like the reason they've gone away, it's because of the fact that they were just done badly.
Agreed.
And that's really what it came down to. They never thought of what's going to make people ooh or ah. And so I think that, in my world, I've always been a fan of 3 songs, which is more than people need, which is about 9 minutes long. Right. And for me, it was always about the first one was about growing up, and I always liked alternating. So using a traditional couple. Sure. I would have the bride's picture, baby picture come up first, which got the aw.
Yeah.
And then I would do the groom's, that side of the room started to go aw. And the next thing you knew, when you alternated, you had the Hatfields versus the McCoys, seeing who would be louder every time a picture came up. And it just got people involved right away.
Sure.
Okay? As opposed to the first picture being Pretty Woman, and it's every nauseating picture of the bride trying to be cute.
Right.
And then you sit through another 25 pictures of the groom, same thing with bad to the bone or whatever. And then you're stuck with 25 pictures of them kissing in front of everything they've ever kissed in front of.
Right.
And, that's
The worst is when they were like 20 minutes long and they'd be like, okay, now we're going to go into open dancing. And it's just this awkward transition. So there's a couple of questions I got here. Brian, are you seeing a lot less videographers on the high-end weddings? No, actually, I'm seeing more. That's become more and more of a showpiece. I think Instagram and some of those Vimeo sites and stuff like that have really kind of pushed the envelope for people wanting to showcase that stuff. And then there's another question here from Jazzy. I'll let you answer this one. I have, how do you upsell to a couple that is on a budget and can't go over that? Is there a way to do it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the whole thing comes down to, even the Knot says is 45% of all brides go over their budget. Okay. And every decision that we make in life is based on pain versus pleasure. So you want to know how you get them to do it? You meet them at their venue and you bring out all of the shit that they're interested in and you put it there. So it gets to a point where they go, we have to do this. Like this becomes more important than what flavor the wedding cake is.
Right.
And that's what it is. Years and years ago, I was on a radio station here in Chicago on Sunday afternoons, and we used to pre-tape the show, and it was called Bridal Expo Radio. And it was everything you'd see at a Bridal Expo on the air every Sunday afternoon, like 2 to 3 o'clock. And our producer was a guy named Jimmy Mack, who was a great guy. After about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks in, he said, "You know what's interesting?" And I said, "What?" He goes, "Every guest you've had on the show makes it seem like what they do is the most important part of the day." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah. Well, your invitation lady said, invitations are so important because it's the first thing that people see, really announcing the formal invitation, and the save the dates really have to get people excited about the wedding day." Okay. And then he goes, "And then your limo company said, the way that you feel when you go to the church and when you arrive and everybody's drinking and celebrating because you just got married, you can't just go in the back of a van. You need to go into our 72 passenger, water bedded limo or whatever." Whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was the same thing with DJ. And, when we had an event planner on who made it sound like if you dream of doing your wedding without an event planner, it'll be a disaster, and the roof will cave in, and,
Right.
guard dogs will attack you at the end of the aisle. And, and this guy said, "I don't get it." And I said, "It's really simple. The pie is only so big. Okay. And you can smash it a little bit so it looks a little bit bigger. But the reality is, the banquet hall wants you to buy their premium liquor and their premium meal and their premium sweet table and their premium cake. I mean, they all know where their profit centers are, no different than you do. So you want them to buy 30 uplights in their big room because they've got 300 people or whatever. And the florist, of course, wants, when you hear 300 people, you know that you're going to have 30 tables. So, centerpieces are going to be a huge chunk of money. So now you're talking, over $10,000 for a wedding, depending on how big they go and stuff. And so that's the big thing. Everybody wants their piece of the pie.
Right.
But the pie is only so big. So my advice would be play on the pain and pleasure. Try and make it so difficult for them not to do, like to say no, that it hurts. So,
yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. So, hey, it's 9:02 Chicago time, 10:02 East Coast time.
Yeah.
So this is where we would break for traffic, but we're not local. So, and it's not even a radio show. So I don't know why I'm saying that, but,
well, we should probably plug next week, because next week we're going to have a guest DJ, Tony So from Hawaii, the DJ Hawaii, who's going to be talking about how to take your company from being brand new to the most referred, which I think is something that we all want. And he was able to successfully do it. So I think it's going to be a great interview, similar to Jasmine, that you'll get a lot out of. So that's next week.
Good deal. And so we're also both going to be at, you'll be at Mobile Beat. I'll be at Photo Booth Expo. And John has told us that we will be pre-recording a show like on Tuesday or Wednesday. I fly in Sunday. When do you go to South by Southwest?
To Wednesday morning.
Okay. So either Monday or Tuesday, probably I'm going to get sometime on Tuesday.
Yeah.
We're going to be recording a show, and it's going to be kind of like a live show at the show, but we're not going to be live. We're going to be pre-recorded. So if you see us and you want to have your mug on the show or whatever, I think John's bringing out a whole bunch of microphones, and we're just going to let it rip, see what happens. And it'll probably be like DJ Expo, Photo Expo, potluck, but we'll be talking about the show, checking things out, and just see what people are talking about at the show. So yeah. Make sure you check us out. My little plug is we're doing T-shirt Tuesdays at our booth at the Marquee Show. So come on by the booth on Tuesday. We're going to have, I think, 400 or 500 T-shirts, whatever it might be. So come by, shoot me a note, or post on my Facebook page that you're going to come by and what T-shirt size you have. And I'm going to do everything I can to get as many T-shirts in as many sizes as possible. And then we're giving away 8 passes while we're there to the Marquee Show. So that's that. So T-shirt Tuesday.
And I will be actually representing a brand new product that's coming out. Never out there before. This is, I'll be introducing it for the very first time at any DJ show worldwide, Monday at noon. And then I will be in the booth on Tuesday. So come see me at noon on Monday. It'll be on Mobile Beats website, and we'll go from there.
I looked at the Mobile Beat site. There's 58 vendors or something like that. Is the company you're working with on there?
Yep, they are. The name of the company, I'll go ahead and just tease it out there now. It's called Vibo, VIBO.
VIBO.
It's the next generation music management and event planning tool. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay. And it's got industry first stuff. So I think you'll be into it.
There we go. So those are our shameless plugs. So please don't comment about how all we do is plug our stuff at the end, because I think we give you guys plenty of nuggets. And in my case, I'm giving away free T-shirts too.
There you go.
So that's it. So thank you all so much for tuning in. It's great to see so many of you, including Glenn McKay joined us again all the way from Australia. Which I say that like he's, I don't know, it's like a long distance phone call, but he's on the internet just like everyone else is. So nonetheless, Glenn, I think you win once again for the furthest viewer, and we appreciate it. So once again, share our hour-long ramblings with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people that you don't like. Force them to watch this show, because we could use the ratings. So
and if you have follow-up questions, just Facebook messages. We get a lot of love that way too. So we'd love to help.
Send them to Brian. I'm too busy to talk to you people. No, I'm just kidding. So we will see you guys next week with Tony.
So the DJ Hawaii.
All right. See you later, everybody. Good night. God bless.
Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Newmark, and DJNTV Insiders.